Chuki beat.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 20 of DIY Mixers Crew. We got an awesome show for you today. We're going to showcase my mod that I got from Polybox, a nice little squonker, series squonker. We'll get to that later on in the show. We got two special guests from Australia today. We got Kemmo and Paul from Australia. They're going to talk to us today a little bit about the difficulties they have in the vaping industry over there in Australia. They're going to talk about some flavors, about sourcing flavors, this, that, and the other. And, you know, we're going to mix up a quick recipe. It's going to be a nice subtle green tea that we're going to be mixing up later on in the show. So we got a lot of stuff to cover. So we're going to get right into it. Welcome, Kemmo and Paul from LabWorks. So how you guys doing today, man?
Yeah, good. We're good, man. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, awesome, guys.
Welcome.
You know,
Welcome.
Yep. Welcome, guys.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So introducing you, Paul, you are LabWorks, and I know Kemmo is actually affiliated with LabWorks also over there in Australia. Now, real quick, guys, before we move on, Kemmo, that's his name on ATF. So if you guys want to check out his portfolio of recipes that he has on alltheflavors.com, you can check him out. He has some banging recipes on there. Go check him out, mix him up, give him a review. You know, he really works hard and puts a lot of time into the recipes that he creates. And Paul, I guess we could start with you. So what's it like over there in Australia, man? And, you know, the vape scene and how hard it is to source flavors. And I know you're a big advocate over there as well. So if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Pretty much I got into DIYing coming up to about 4 years ago now. I got my start in the game and doing live shows through Fresh and some of the other live shows that were going on at that stage. I used to be a guest on some of his shows. And as for sourcing of flavors here in Australia, it's been a little bit tough. We can get a lot of the stuff that we want now to work with. But the biggest problem that we have here in the DIY community is actually sourcing nicotine. All our juices that we buy at shops here have no nicotine. So we actually have to bring our nicotine into Australia and then mix. So effectively, everyone in the Australian vape scene is a DIYer of some description. So that's probably one of the biggest hurdles. The government here doesn't want to listen to us in any way, shape, or form. We've spoken to government, we put submissions in, they still don't want us to have nicotine. They think that we're all a big bunch of kids. They don't want us to have any fun here, pretty much.
Yeah, in a nutshell, basically, yeah.
Look, the submissions that have gone all the way to government and all the way up the food chain here, they're still not listened to. We've got people, or we've got an organisation here that's very, very similar to the FDA in the United States. It's called the TGA, the Therapeutic Goods Administration. They're the ones that classify nicotine here in Australia as a Schedule 7 poison. Schedule 7 on the drug rating brings it up to around the same level as heroin. So,
wow.
And the fines in different states vary for consumption and for actual possession of nicotine. One state in particular, Western Australia, the fines go all the way up to $45,000 for nicotine or nicotine distribution. Queensland, another state here, it's around the $9,000 mark for actually, possessing and or distribution of nicotine products in vape liquids.
Fortunately, you can buy potatoes and things like that have nicotine.
Correct. You can buy any of the nightshade family that you could effectively get the nicotine from or extract it, but no, they don't worry about that. They just tell us, no, we're just a big bunch of kids. They'd rather us go to the corner store and buy a packet of cigarettes or to a supermarket, but they don't see the value and they don't see what vaping could provide. The biggest problem...
Definitely still very much the quit or die mentality here in Australia. Definitely. And it's very frustrating is that these legislations that Paul's talking about that are being pushed to the government is we're not asking for high milligram. We're only asking for the same milligram amounts that you get in your patches and your gums and lozenges and all that stuff as well. And at that concentration, it's much less toxic and much less poisonous. So it's very frustrating. But yeah, sorry, go on, Paul.
Probably the other thing that really gets under my skin here in Australia is that you can walk into a store, you can buy cigarettes, or you can actually go to the supermarket and it's on the same level as like a candy rack, and they've got Nicobate patches and Nicorette patches, and then if you turn it over, safe for the use in anyone over the age of 12. Hang on a second. How does that work?
What? Well,
Serious?
Wow.
Yeah, there was a huge uproar here because we now have self-service checkouts here in Australia, and it's now that they've got it was being said that you've got to put these nicotine replacement therapies out of the reach of kids, but they haven't done that. My local supermarket here, you can go, a kid, my 8-year-old son could go in, grab a heap of Nicorette, check himself out at the self-checkout, and, he's got his hands on nicotine. And it's a big issue, That's
scary. That's scary.
It's probably the big pharma lobby that does that, right?
Yeah, correct. Look, bottom line is, sure, I have a problem with big tobacco, but when you really, really dive into it, it's not big tobacco that's really the problem anymore. They're actually trying to find ways out of combustibles into either vape products or heat not burn. It's big pharma. They're the ones that are going to lose the most out of this whole situation. Think about it. They've got their gum, their patches, their sprays. I really don't know, but this is a joke for everyone. I wonder if they have a suppository for nicotine products yet.
So let me ask you though, what is it for a pack of ciggies over there in Australia?
It's been a while since I bought them. When I quit, one of the main things for me. So this is in Australian dollars, obviously. When I went to get my weekly carton of cigarettes from my tobacconist, it cost $200. So that's for 8 packets of 25.
Jesus Christ!
And I said, "You're kidding me, aren't you?" And I said, well, this is ridiculous. Something needs to change, and as I've said it on previous shows I've been on, I enjoyed smoking. I didn't want to quit, but the financial burden was getting pretty strong. I'm 35, so the real health issues weren't kicking in yet. But I tell you, I noticed the benefits as soon as I properly made the switch.
A packet of cigarettes now here in Australia, a regular packet of 20s is anywhere between 20 Australian dollars and 30 Australian dollars, depending on where you buy them.
Holy crap.
So
what is that, like $10 US?
No, we're not that bad. We're not in Canadian dollars here. No. It works out.
Just for a quick stab, Paul.
It works out roughly about 75 cents to the US dollar. 1 Australian dollar buys about 75 US cents. But we don't only have packets of 20s here. We've got 20s, 25s, 30s, 40s, and 50s.
Damn.
And then you've got rolling tobacco, or where you just roll your own. Rolling tobacco now for a 50-gram pouch is around the $80 mark, $70 to $80 mark.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
How can anybody? Well, we don't smoke anyway, but how can anybody afford to smoke over there? And this is one of the reasons why I think a lot of Australians are going over to the vaping thing, is because number one, it's better for your health,
Sure.
and it's just getting too damn expensive for you guys over there.
Yeah,
To be
exactly. I mean, that was the thing. I spent 6 months in vape retail here in Australia, and easily the most frustrating thing about that was not being able to supply nicotine, and you couldn't essentially send someone out the door quick. If someone comes in and they only smoke 3 or 4 cigarettes a day and they just need that hand to mouth, then you set them up with like a menthol juice, something that gives them that throat hit that's recognizable, and they can generally make the switch, you know. But you've got other people that as soon as you say, look, you've got to order something online, a lot of people mentally just go, well, it's too hard. I can't do that. I'm in here in a shop because I don't want to order that stuff online. So you get people that will vape and wear patches or stuff like that. But I try to explain to people, really get that nicotine, because it makes the switch so much easier, because your lifestyle is not affected. You don't have to watch, you know, I can't drink because, you know, I want a cigarette, or I can't do this because I want a cigarette. You go out for 5 minutes, you get your nicotine fix, you come back in, and you're just not killing yourself. And you don't stink as well. That's one thing I noticed.
Well, let me ask you this, Paul, since you're a big advocate over there in Australia about nicotine. Why is it that Big Farm can come in with their patches, their gums, and all this other shit, but yet it's illegal? A 12-year-old can go into a supermarket or a grocery store and go to the self-checkout and buy the nicotine patch or nicotine gum, but yet you guys can't buy nicotine at all over there. Like, what's like, that just puzzles me. I mean, is it a monetary thing that the pharma is in with the government, that they already, you know, lobbied and paid that money out to the government so they can, you know, commercially sell their stuff retail in stores, and yet you guys can't, you know, buy nicotine at a local vape shop? Like, what's the deal with that?
You have exactly the same structure with the FDA and the TGA, pretty much the exact same structure, meaning that you've got a lot of people on the actual board that are ex-pharmaceutical that now come and work for this government entity. Yeah. You have the head of the TGA, and yes, Pippa, I will call him an arsehole because that's exactly what he is. They didn't listen. And earlier this year, I was part of a 60 Minutes program regarding all of this. And the questions that he was being asked, you could actually see him looking over into the side, and he was being actually, how would you put it? He was being coached. There was more than one person in the room. Everyone thought, oh, okay, you know, he's looking around because there's cameras there. No way. They're in this situation here that the TGA doesn't want to listen. They said, oh, we've got to put more money into actually looking at all the studies, but we need to pour in a couple more $1 million just to find our answers. Their answers will be tanked. Their answers will be tainted, simply because you've got the other people in the background. And yeah, Big Pharma's got a lot to do with it here. Big Pharma really has to, you know, step away and let the science that has already been done. They get this. They won't even listen to the study from the Royal College of Physicians. How the hell? It's like trying to push shit uphill. It doesn't work.
Yeah, like disregarding a document that's so in depth like that from such a high group of well renowned doctors and professors is the ignorance is probably the most frustrating thing, because the latest stuff that's happening in Parliament, they're just dragging all the old stuff up through the mud, all this, all the old, popcorn lung, more diacetyl, more stuff, more testing needs to be done, all this trash, and I'm sorry, but that has been debunked. Sorry, but it's time to look at the facts, and there's a lot of pressure, and Paul is such a good guy for it, but he's starting to line up with the right people and really put the pressure on the people in government, going, okay, that's fine. You show us why. It's time to put your money where your mouth is, and prove to us.
There you are. Pippa's made a really, really good point, right? A few
in the chat,
a while back, the head of the TGA here is Skerritt, okay? Lo and behold, he promotes the use of propylene glycol in asthma medications. And then, lo and behold, on national television, on the 60 Minutes program, he turns around and he said, no, it's ethylene glycol, the same stuff that we're using in antifreeze. And I just went, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, get out of here. Get your science straight before you start.
Well, hang on. If you're a professor, you should understand your glycols.
Yes.
If you don't understand your glycols, go the fuck back to school, man.
And that's the thing. There was a big scare in the DIY community, because when that information came out, it filtered over into the U.S. and you had people on like the vape chat forums and stuff like that. They're thinking they're fucking inhaling antifreeze. And that's not the case. And that's just a bunch of horse shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just it's a serious topic and stuff. I shouldn't be laughing, but it's stuff I hear all day, every day. It's being in the auto industry and a blue collar worker. I've got so many people that still smoke, and I don't work at a vape shop. I don't push people to vape. They just see me vaping, going, "Oh, that's bad for you," and I'm like, yeah, well, it's 95% better than what you're doing. They go, oh, you don't know that. I'm like, well, I do. So I think maybe we should just be in different areas.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Like when people come up to you and they see you vape and they start spouting off this and that, and instead of like being ignorant towards them, it's just more about educating that person on what we do and the reason why we do it. And to maybe, if they are a smoker, try to transition them over to vaping, because like you said, it's 95% healthier than smoking cigarettes. You don't have all those bad chemicals that you get from tobacco. And I think it's just like they're uneducated, you know what I mean? And there's just so much.
And this is the exact point, that's what I was doing in vape retail. It's more, I was there essentially educating people. You get the people that come in and, this or that and having struggles with their device or whatever. They're the really easy ones to deal with, to be honest. It's the ones that have read all the pop-up stuff on Facebook, all the anti, the popcorn lung, this and that. And that's basically, if they're a well-versed person that likes to read, they're the easy people to switch. You go have a read of this report, look at some solid evidence about it. But it's the ones that are so addicted to smoking. It's the 40, 50 a day smokers that as soon as you even plant the seed that they're not going to smoke anymore, they just cut and run, and they're like, no, because of this, and this. And it's extremely frustrating. You get to a point in your head thinking, you know what, man, just go get some cigarettes. I'm doing my best to help you here. But, they're the kind of smokers that have to want to hate it, or they need some kind of doctor, their general doctor, to go, mate, you're starting to get emphysema. This is going to kill you. They need a scare like that to start really investing in making a switch. And someone like me, that I would never get off. All my friends, there was no way Kemmo was going to quit smoking. No way in the world. And for me, I'm a year and a half off the smokes now. It's just, and I'm so low on nicotine, like it's unheard of,
That's the same way with me. That's one of the reasons why I switched to vaping from tobacco products. I chewed tobacco for probably 15 years. I smoked, but it was on and off, switching back and forth. And then it got to the point, like you said, is like, you have to make that choice. You want to survive. So, for those people that can't quit cold turkey, I think vaping is, it's awesome. It's extraordinary, and it helped me, get off tobacco altogether. But moving on, I mean, you guys do have some major struggles over in Australia with, getting the nicotine. Seems like the laws are fucked up just as much as they are in the U.S. Luckily, we can still source our nicotine no problem all over the country for us. But it seems like you guys have some pretty tough hurdles to jump through in order to get your nic for your mixing.
I was a prime candidate because 2014 I smoked for over 30 years. I'm 48. 2014 I was diagnosed with emphysema, stage 2, early stage 3, and if I hadn't have given away the cigarettes, I was smoking, like Kemmo said, but I was actually smoking 30, 40, 50 cigarettes a day because of the industry that I worked in. And I was like that for the last 10 years of my life until I actually gave them away.
As much as, we promote vaping, but bottom line, without vaping, Paul wouldn't be in front of us talking the way he is. There'd be an oxygen tank, it's real stuff. And it's one of the most frustrating things is that why is something this life-saving so hard to get across the line? But yeah, as you were saying, Dave, with nicotine, now Pippa's brought up this point as well, is that there's state and there's federal laws, and at the end of the day, the federal law allows Australians to import nicotine for personal use. So you can buy it overseas. A lot of guys here buy it from New Zealand, stuff like that. You can import it for your own personal use. But you just can't buy it over the counter. And you constantly hear in Australia, people see me vaping going, oh, that's illegal. Well, it's not. And it's one of the things that Pippa has to fight for up in Queensland there, is that her state laws have banned nicotine, but that goes against federal law. So it's just, once again, it's completely backwards.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah. It's just, once again, quit or die. Well, some of us can't. Some of us can't. But I tried some nicotine replacement therapy, mainly because my mum just was pushing me to get off the smokes. But a high percentage of people that have switched to vaping successfully have tried everything else. They've tried the gums, hypnotherapy, patches. They've tried it all, and they might have got off ciggies for a bit, but bottom line, they're back smoking again. They need that replacement, and that's what. If the highest the figure goes is 95% safer than smoking, then people that have tried everything to get off cigarettes will take that bet all day, every day.
Lewis, you had a question?
No, I was just saying that I'm one of those guys that I tried everything there is to quit smoking, and I was only able to quit smoking when I found vaping.
So if you guys have any questions in the chat, make sure you put at DIY Mixers Crew, that we know you're asking a question for us. Moving on though, Kemo, you, like I said, you're a mixer as well as you, LabWorks, Paul. So I know you did a lot of work on the commercial side, Paul, but as far as Kemo, you said that you have, what is your style, man? What do you like to do as far as your mixing? Like, what's your favorite all days? What's your, your go-to concentrates and stuff like that? And real quick though, before you answer that, I know you guys work hand in hand with Vape Train. There's some awesome shit coming from them guys. I know we can't really get that stuff in the United States yet, but it is coming really soon. So if you guys want to talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, okay. Well, so mixing profile and kind of basic background for me, I've been mixing for about 3 years, and I've only kind of popped my head up and started publishing recipes and stuff in the last year or so. It's when it's really kind of taken over as the main hobby for me. But my mixing style and the juices I make, they're sweet, candied, all that stuff. And I probably blame that on the fact that I did spend some time in vape retail, and all the US juices we're importing without nicotine were pretty sweetened out. So my stuff in comparison to that is a lot less sweet. But I've also, I've also got a lot of desserts. Creams and custards are a real hit for me as well. The bakeries are something I'm playing with more. But yeah, I mean, my all day stuff. It's generally because I'm playing with flavors so much now these days. My all day stuff is generally quite simple. I'm on a sweet raspberry. It's up there on all the flavors. It's a coil killer, but I just can't get off it. It's a nice basic reset of a vape for me, and no matter what, I can just taste it. So yeah, that's essentially the way I mix, man. Is I cater to the sweet tooths and stuff like that. I've got some complex stuff that isn't laced, in sweetener, and it's not crazy, but which is what we do in DIY. But yeah, I definitely I like my sweet stuff. Yeah, definitely.
Hey, Kenmo, Paul, we have a question out here. Subbates wants to know, are there many Australian flavor concentrate makers?
Nope. Only one is coming up now, and it's Vape Train, as was mentioned before. And Vape Train is produced. The whole lot happens onshore here in Australia, and it is available at Chef's Flavors, and so you can get it into the US. And Chef's Flavors is just building up the arsenal, because if you want to look them up, it's actually Vape Train Australia, and I think there's something like 180 concentrates there, and that just grows. I'm seeing Vape Train dropping another 5 concentrates almost weekly. So he's really building up the arsenal.
So far in the line, there's 189 concentrates that Vape Train's released, with a possibility of 60 plus more being added to the range. So far, there's everything through all the different fruits, the different drinks, coffees. There's a couple of tobaccos there. Then it's actually moving into the bakery now. But the other thing that Vape Train has that I haven't found with anyone, Flavor Art, Capella, Inawera, Mullenberry, they have something else that's known as a bending agent, or what we classify as a bending agent, where there's one that I can talk about. It's called, hang on, it's hiding behind my computer somewhere. It's called Jam It. It will pretty much turn any fruit into a jam base. It bends the fruit and then gives it that nice big, that bulky sugar feel. Yeah, there it is. Jam It.
Is that reasonably focused, or yeah?
Yeah, that's fine. There's other ones there.
This one here.
Yep.
They've got one, a sorbet base. They've also got a fizzy sherbet, and they're strictly bending agents.
Yep.
That's sweet, because I know a lot of people that have been working for years to get a true peanut butter and jelly, but the jelly part just is a grape jelly, and you just can't really get that with the flavors that we have right now. But with that bending agent, wow, that could be really nice.
The other one is a milkshake base that then you can create, that you can turn fruits into milkshake bases. So if you wanted a really, really heavy like banana milkshake, you could create a banana flavor stone, then give it a dose of this, and off you go. You've got a banana milkshake.
Do tell.
Yeah, well, you want a mango smoothie. Look, it's just it opens up the floodgates. So yeah.
Speaking of that, the Vape Train flavors though too, that's one of the things that we discussed offline. They're pretty super concentrated. You know what I mean? That you don't have to use a ton to get to where you're going in your mix. Is it okay for you guys to talk about that or no?
Yeah. Sure. Well, basically, he's got his entire fruit range. He's also got a shisha range as well, which is quite a stronger version. But with that super concentrate aspect being mentioned, I know a lot of people hear that and think, well, it's going to be hard to mix because I can only use a few drops of this and that. There's only a handful of concentrates that are quite strong, but they all mix together and they play with other flavor manufacturers really well. Because you've got to remember is that the testing that Paul and I are doing with them, we're putting them in mixes with other manufacturers because we might not have certain ones yet, things like that. They're playing happily. But when you only have to use a concentrate around the 2 to 3% mark, at most, and given the price point on these, there's a reason that they're blowing up so big and so quick is because we can sit here all day, every day saying this does this or that does that, but you can go and pick up some of the ones if you've got a favorite mango or you've got a favorite blackcurrant, something like that, go and pick up Vape Train's version and just test it out yourself. Grab some 10 mils to test it, and you'll taste. You'll see. Even as soon as you crack the bottle, especially that blackcurrant, man, that shisha blackcurrant. You open up that, and it smells like a bottle of Ribena. It is just it's just delicious.
Well, let me ask you. When do you think? Do you have a timeline to where vape trains will be able to hit the market in the United States? Commercially
at the moment, as mentioned, you can get it from Chef's Flavors in the UK, and they're up and coming, and Chef's is building up the range, month by month. It is getting bigger there. But as far as an ETA goes, I'm unsure on that. It's all happening in the background at the moment. So, but as mentioned, Paul and I, we're basically testing for Vape Train. We don't call the shots or any of that stuff.
Like you said that with Lewis over at Chef's, would he be able to ship the Vape Train into the U.S. or no?
Yep. Not a problem.
Yeah, $6 global shipping.
Okay, yeah, because there's some of the flavors that I'd really like to try. I'm going to hit that up. So for you guys in the U.S. that actually want to try some of the Vape Train line, as of right now, the only thing that we can offer in the United States is to hit up Chef's. And for you guys out there in the community, you guys know Chef's Flavors. They're legit. They're awesome. Like Kemmo said, that $6 you get worldwide shipping. So anywhere in the United States and stuff like that, it's $6. I've known people that have ordered some stuff over there, like some one shots or concentrates over there from Chef's, and the shipping's actually not that bad. It gets here pretty quick. It's not like if you're ordering a mod or something from China where it's going to take a month. From what I understand, it might be like a week or so, maybe. That it takes for the stuff to get over here. It's really not that bad.
I think it gets faster to the United States than to me in Portugal.
Yeah.
It took me 2 weeks to get
roughly about this. It's about a week and a half, maybe. I guess.
But I'm much closer to the UK than you are.
True.
Probably one of the. This is a standout from their range.
I was about to go and pick that up, Paul.
I'm going to scare the crap out of a few people in the audience with this one. Everyone knows chocolate, right? Everyone likes chocolate.
Yep.
So guess what? This one's crystal clear.
Ooh, nice.
Well, that's one of the things that you guys were talking about. Now that you mentioned that, a lot of their flavors that Vape Train, or concentrates that Vape Train does offer, they're clear. And I'm assuming it's something that they do. I'm not a chemist, so I don't know. I remember it blew my mind. You were, I think, working on a recipe with Vape Train's concentrates, and I think you said it had steeped for 4 months, and it was like it wasn't even pale yellow yet. It blew my mind, and it was heavy shit too. It was like chocolate or custard or something like that. It totally blew my mind. And I think it's gonna be a game changer for a lot of mixers out there that really don't want that coil killing darkness from their mixes that they make. Sorry, I'm in the process of filling up my squonk, and actually I'm going to talk about that right now. It's friggin' awesome. But yeah, so if you guys out there in the United States and over in the UK, anywhere, I guess, in the world, as of right now, the only place that does carry Vape Train is Chef's Flavors. You know, check it out on Chef's Flavors and order some of their stuff. I'm very anxious to try their line. I know that these guys are for real because let me tell you what, when I had met Paul and Kemo, they turned me on to Mullenberry, and it fucking blew my mind. So from what they're telling me about Vape Train, if it's anything like what they told me about Mullenberry, it's legit. I mean, it's not a bunch of hype. It's not a bunch of bullshit. And it's very exciting news, I think, for a lot of mixers around the world.
It's definitely something that Mullenberry and Vape Train have in common is that these are flavor concentrates designed by, originated by vapers for vaping. They're not food additives or anything like that we're using to vape. This is now the growth of the industry is that, there's a strong enough market to get solely just vape related flavorings out there. And that's what this company, and Mullen definitely have in common.
Yeah. So, yeah, awesome. So if you guys have any more questions, actually, Folk Art, Lewis, or Daddy Kane, you guys got any questions for these guys before we start moving on? I know you said you had to jet out, Kemo. I don't know if you want to jet out now or if you want to stick around to the end of the show. But if you do,
I'll hang around. I'm not being summoned to work just yet. Okay. I work fast enough anyway. I'll get it knocked out. I'm happy hanging around.
Awesome.
Cool.
So I have a question for y'all. The laws against nicotine in vape e-liquid, is that a law that was a new law that was passed for the vaping industry, or is that just like a law that was always on the books for cigarettes and things like that?
No, liquid nicotine has always been classified here as a Schedule 7 or a poison.
Okay.
But there's a few little loops in it. There's Schedule 7, there's Schedule 4. Schedule 4 can be used in agriculture and for the use in making of pesticides. And for anyone that doesn't know, nicotine is a very, very, very good pesticide. And it's also used in agriculture in many, many different uses. And it's also used in some medications. There's slight amounts of nicotine in medications. But no, it's Schedule 7, and we want it reclassified into Schedule 4 or a little bit lower, 3 or 4 would be a nice part to play with. If for argument's sake they want to leave it at 7, it pretty much holds the same penalties as dealing heroin here in Australia.
Wow. Oh, wow.
That's the stupidity of it.
Wow, that's crazy.
And I have heard that Australia is a country that makes some of the purest nicotine of anybody. Some of the industry.
Correct. We used to grow a lot of a lot of tobacco products here, or there was a lot of tobacco grown here in Australia at one point in time. I'm not sure how much tobacco was actually grown here, but yeah, there was an industry here. The tobacco industry was huge. There was a lot of manufacturers here. A lot of our cigarettes now are not manufactured here in Australia. It's all been farmed out. They're coming in from other countries, hence the huge black market for cigarettes that's now appeared here. You can still go to a tobacconist here and you can still buy under the counter cigarettes for like $10 or $11 a packet. But you don't know really where they're coming from or what's in those cigarettes. Right. So that's another problem that we've got to deal with.
Wow.
Yeah, putting the tax that Australia's put on cigarettes, it just it creates such a plethora of issues. And Paul's we've only touched on a few of them and stuff like that. But bottom line, people want to smoke. They're going to find out how to do it, man. And it's just, it's frustrating, and that's the thing. And as you were mentioning, that some of the cleanest nicotine on the globe I've heard is coming out of Australia and stuff like that. I tell you, it's something that's completely backwards is that we order our nicotine from New Zealand, not a problem, and New Zealand orders their nicotine off us. So it's just freighting stuff back and forth. It's why, so it's just very frustrating.
So how difficult is it, or is there many regulations, heavy regulations toward companies that want to perhaps start a juice line or a one-shot line in Australia? Is there any pretty strict rules and regulations toward that, like there is in the U.S. now?
No. Juice manufacturing here in Australia, it's still it's pretty much still the Wild West. You can get a juice line up and running pretty easily, but the regulations that they've put in play in Victoria and New South Wales as of next year, that all vaping products have to be hidden away. They're treating it exactly the same as a tobacco product. So if you walk into a store, you're not going to be able to just go and pick up stuff and try it out. When I worked in Victoria in a vape shop, you were still allowed to vape in the shop. We were allowed to set up the equipment for people. They're trying to stop that now, which again is stupidity for two reasons.
It's definitely one of the fears.
Yeah, one, you walk into a store, okay, someone walks in with a mech mod that they bought online, for argument's sake.
Yeah.
And they've come in with a bop bop ding ding Chinese battery that shouldn't be anywhere near that mod, for argument's sake. Secondly, it's made for use in a torch, not for vaping in any way, shape or form. Battery safety is one thing. Two, actually teaching someone how to build a coil or how to put their equipment together or troubleshoot it. Third thing is where and how to source your nicotine, how to actually mix your nicotine into your liquids. It's a minefield, man.
Yeah,
that's the only way I can put it. It's stupid.
One thing I'll touch on, because we're mixing nicotine here in Australia, the passion for DIY and the ease of getting something like DIY into an Australian market is a lot easier because, as Paul mentioned, we've got to put our nicotine in anyway. Something that's very popular with e-liquids here in Australia is something called a doubler. It's a say you get a 100 ml bottle. It's only got 50 mils of e-liquid in it. That is a double strength, concentration of e-liquids. So you basically, because you're adding your nicotine, then you add your own amount of PG or VG depending on what ratio you would like. And a lot of vapors, it's a lot easier to get their head around that. Then they start figuring out if they like more PG or they like more VG, and they're getting into the basics of DIY without even knowing it. And with the lack of restrictions currently on flavorings, stuff like that, the option of one shots and all that stuff is very appealing to us, definitely.
Have you got an idea of how many vapors there are at this moment in Australia?
There's various there's various figures on that now, but you look at the uptake of vaping here in Australia, and you'll probably find 1 in 3 smokers now switching to vaping from cigarettes simply because of the price. Yeah. If, for argument's sake, the vapors here in Australia could help convert 2/3 to vaping, leave the smokers there. Sure, you still want to, hang on to the end of a coffin nail, go for it. But if you were to educate the smokers that we currently have and got them into vaping, it would take such a strain off the health system here in Australia. The United States, we're exactly the same landmass pretty much, okay? We have around somewhere between 25 and 30 million people here in Australia. In the United States, for the same landmass, you've got 300 million plus. It's a very, very different situation. but you're looking, our smoking rates were around 7%. And they say because of these plain packaging and high taxes that it started dropping down. It did for a little while, and then it spiked again. It spiked again because the government decided, oh, okay, well, we'll stop this for a minute, but we'll try something else. Mm-hmm. It didn't work. A lot of younger people now are actually turning to cigarettes because of the stresses that they're under. So be it. But if you could stop those guys from smoking cigarettes and said, look, if you do want to smoke, sure, try a cigarette or two. Try this. This is much healthier. It won't screw you up. And it's actually the easiest thing to go backwards and forwards between, say, 0 milligram, 1 milligram, 2, 3 milligrams. It's not hard. You can vary the level. With a cigarette, you're getting 4,000 chemicals. This, not many chemicals.
Right. One point I will bring up is that we've recently had Clive Bates over here, who's a strong advocate in the UK for vaping, and he brought up a really good point in the fact that Australia has always been very much at the forefront for anti-smoking, plain packaging, taxing, anti-smoking ads and all that stuff. And, he's released a public statement saying, I'm completely perplexed as to why Australia is not getting involved and welcoming vaping, being such an anti-smoking country that we are.
Well, any country.
Then why would we not embrace this?
Yeah, any of these countries.
Yeah, and so Clive, he's actually had meetings with our government and stuff like that, and to essentially just to give us and Paul, people like that, some more support. Going, look, these guys need help. I'll go out there, and Clive came and gave his 2 cents and said, look, I'm an educated person. These are professors. These people teach what they do, And there's no way, you can't just say, well, you're no one. We're not going to listen to you. So that's why we're trying to get these bigger names out here going, sorry, but you need to start moving on this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, our problem in the U.S. is that the states are taking so much money from the tobacco companies that I don't think they want them to lose any money, because the states get so much money from the tobacco companies.
Yeah, and that's the one thing Paul was bringing up, is that big pharma is not exactly a tight hard up for money as well. Yeah. And big tobacco as well is in the fact that they originally, a few years ago, big pharma and big tobacco were the enemies, but now big tobacco is starting to see the shift in the market, and they're actually investing money into vaping. But that brings up a whole other can of worms of the fact, this is big tobacco now. And they were looking to kill us with cigarettes. Now they're looking to kill us with vaping. And that's just more ammunition for big pharma up against vaping. So it's, there's so much kind of stuff involved, and trying to break it down and just, and get one thing at a time done is it's a long process.
Yeah. Well, it sounds pretty tough.
Pippa just brought up a point there. In the UK, vaping is now on the NHS. Okay, National Health System. We also have an NHS type system here in Australia, right? But one thing that you missed out on, Pippa, is that Australia is actually the 51st state of the United States, if you really want to think about it, with free trade agreements and everything else that's going on. You've got to see it from that aspect. Every war that the United States has got into, Australia will always send troops and go and help in that aspect. But here, it's bad. We need, in a perfect world, I'd like to see the head of the TGA Skerritt step away from the game right now. Okay? get your hand and stop this funding from Big Pharma. Allow the real studies, the real people, the people that are on the ground actually do the right thing. You arse-hats in government, see you later, step away. We know what's going on. You don't. Yeah. You're just taking backdoor money, brown paper bags, and being told, oh no, you got to do this. It might interfere with a free trade agreement with this country or that country or whatever country. Forget it. And there's another guy here that I'm going to call out, Simon Chapman, Professor Simon Chapman. Even though he's retired, like Chappie's like, ugh.
But this is the thing. This is one thing I was mentioning is that this is why Clive Bates has been brought over. He's essentially come over. He's another person that stood up and pointed the finger, at people like this, and said, "Okay, why? Because pharma they can give him all the false data, give these government people all the false data they need to essentially prolong this process, and say, well, we've got this report, and now the vaping community has to spend the time and debunk that report, and then another one comes up. So, it's a real fight. And globally, there's a fight on vaping in some respect. It's just being fought in different ways by different people.
Yeah. The fight on vaping isn't, it's national or country by country. Yes, that's true. But here's an idea. Bring in one of the biggest law firms out in New York that's based in New York. That's their head office, but they've got bases in New York, London, Paris, Germany, Australia, everywhere. Like a dream team of litigators, right? Mm-hmm. Think of this for a minute. Bring them into the game and say, right, we need this. You have people on the ground there, and there. Start one big global fight and then just go, hello, Big Pharma. We're here to wrangle your balls and shake you up and down and throw you up a tree. Go, hey. That's how I see it.
Yeah. Awesome. I'll just jump in, guys. I'm actually getting summons to work now. So thanks heap for having us on.
Oh, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming, Simon.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Come back. Just as usual, enjoy your vaping. Don't recommend mech mods to anyone new, even if they like your mech mod device. Get them on something regulated. Get them on low milligram on a sub tank, and they'll be fine.
Yeah.
All right.
Good deal.
Enjoy, guys. I'll chat to you soon enough. Thanks for having me, guys.
Come back anytime.
See you. Real quick, you're out, man. Thanks a lot, man. Make sure you check Kemmo on ATF. Like I said, that is his name. It's KEMMO. Check him out on ATF. He has a lot of excellent recipes on there. And thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
Today, man.
Thanks for having us on. Keep vaping, guys.
Enjoy, man.
Bye-bye.
See you, son.
Bye.
So real quick, guys, I was going to showcase the mod, but we're pressing up on time. I will probably do a Facebook Live on that. Maybe tomorrow, maybe Tuesday, I will do a Facebook Live on that. I just want to mix up this recipe for you guys. So basically, I talked to Paul and Hemo before the show. Maybe they can, give me a recipe because it's been a while since I mixed up live. I'm going to mix up this recipe. It's actually going to be a green tea. Some fruits in it, and I'm going to mix this up for you today, guys, and I will post this on All the Flavors, ATF, alltheflavors.com after the show. So it's going to be a green tea today. And Paul, since you're the one that gave me the concentrates, I did sub the peach, but it was the mulberry peach that you gave me. I subbed it with the the Flavor Art white peach. But if you want to talk about this recipe a little bit before I decide to mix this up.
Okay, sure. Okay. So far, all right, I'll give you a little rundown on the recipe. So we've got green tea. We've got Eden apple from Mullenberry using white peach and a little bit of key lime. I used to vape this quite a lot You can add menthol to it as well if you got a bit of a problem with your throat. 30 seconds. Okay, you got the 30-second challenge on you.
Oh man!
No, because the way I have my camera set, I got to read to make this, so it's not like I can get this done in 30 seconds. It's going to take me probably a few minutes.
No, I didn't do that. Pippa did.
Yeah.
Don't blame me.
Well, no, there actually is going to be a rematch between the U.S. and Australia, and I disagree with her saying it took me 80 seconds to mix up that mix. I could have swore it was like 36, but whatever. So the way it is up in ATF, I'm going to be starting off with the Mullenberry Eden Apple at 2%. So tell us a little bit about why you like Eden Apple, if you could.
Okay, Eden Apple for me, it plays really, really, really well with one of my favorites, which being FA Flavor Up Fuji Apple. The pair of them work together. The Eden Apple actually brings more depth into the Fuji. That's why, folks got it.
Yeah, well.
It's a little bit different. It's the same as Mullenberry pear. It's like walking into a produce store and actually biting into the fruit. Both of them have the same texture. As soon as I found Eden, I stopped using Fuji as much. It also works when you're creating a stone for the base of for an apple pie and things like that. That's another way that you can play with it. The green tea, I use the Mullenberry green tea because it's crystal clear again. Normally I use Mullenberry nectar peach. It's a sweet, rich, like juicy peach. A little bit reminiscent of the original TFA juicy, but a lot easier to work with and play with. The key lime brings it together. The reason I use key lime in a lot of my recipes, or I actually use what's it called? It's called Persian lime, and I use limes to accentuate either apples, citrus, to tone down a citrus, to bring forward a fruit note of a strawberry or a blueberry or a black currant, and it just plays nice in there.
Okay. Now, is this a recipe that that you've had made before, or is this just something like off the top of your head?
No, I've played with this many, many times. In green teas, you always get these really sweet green teas, or tea recipes that are floating around. This one, I'll guarantee you, does not gunk your coils at all.
Well, that's the thing. Now, that's one of the things that I wanted to. A lot of the U.S. mixes, you notice like a lot of that on like all the flavors, the ATF. A lot of people in the U.S. They do get into teas, but I've never really seen anybody use the Mullenberry tea. Now, what sets that Mullenberry tea? If you had a chance to try the other green teas out on the market, say Flavor or whatever, what sets it apart from the other teas, would you say?
It's probably the most traditional green tea that I've actually worked with.
Okay.
It's got all the flavor notes. If you go to an Asian restaurant and you're sitting there drinking a pot of green tea while you're eating your meal, this is probably the closest thing to it.
Nice. So how you coming there, David?
Almost done.
Yep.
I just got to add the VG and then.
I threw that recipe up where people could see it on the live feed, and it's if they wanted to jot it down, they could.
Sorry, I accidentally. Yeah, I'm going to post it. I put it in the ATF account. I'm going to post it at the show. But I had an air pocket on my vegetable glycerin. It was causing me some problems here. Sometimes when you mixing these 30 ml bottles, they decide to give it a little air pocket in there, and it stops you from adding the vegetable oils in there. So.
This recipe you can shake and vape, but 3 days and the peach and the apple blend and play well. They play really, really nicely together. Why I use the lime actually kills the acidity, like any acidity that either the peach being a stone fruit or the apple being a seeded fruit, it gets rid of that.
Because of the pH.
Yeah.
In there, that plays that role. I don't know what the hell's going on with my VG today. It's like acting crazy. Maybe it's because of the weather. It's really cold here in my hometown, so it might be super thick and it's not flowing right into my body.
David, we hardly can't listen to you.
That's because my mic. I got to adjust my mic. Sorry about that, Lois. I apologize for that. So I need to add 4.51 grams of propylene glycol, and then we're pretty much done with this. And then I'm going to give it a vape, and then we'll try it out. See how I like it. I am not a fruit guy, so so I got to get 4.1. I'm at 4.5. I've tried to play with teas once in a while. I really didn't find them like any of the other companies too great. But like I said, this is the first time I didn't even get a chance to flavor test Mullenberry yet. So that's that. But we're going to give this a try. We're going to see how it vapes. I'm going to be using the UL RDA. Okay, the Raphael X. Actually, I'm going to when I do the Facebook Live on the review on the Squonk Poly box. I mean, I'll show it to you guys real quick. I haven't, like I said, we're kind of running out of time. But so basically, what this is it's a series Squonk. I got it off a custom modder out in Pittsburgh around here. So it's a series Squonk mod that I had Paul. He's Poly. It's Polybox. He had made this for me. It's a series Squonk, a dual 18650 done in a Squonk. It's a P box. And it's freaking awesome. I'm going to give a full review on Facebook Live since we're pushing up on time. And this is one of the reasons with the Raphael X too. That's a little bit of a weird RDA since it has a neutral post in it. I'm going to play around with that a little bit with that neutral post and that RDA. So it gives you a little bit more building options for when you're running a Mac and stuff like that. So it's kind of like cuts your ohms in half. It's weird. Like it doubles them actually. So if you're making like a 0.4 or 0.5 coil with that neutral post, it'll take it up to like a 1. So it gives you more ability. So if you're doing like maybe a 4 coil build or something like that, you can put a lot more in there and not have to super sub ohm is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? So you get more ability to do that. And I didn't really experiment it with it yet on the Polybox, the Squonk. But that will be in the future. But like I said, I'm going to be giving a review on a Facebook Live maybe tomorrow. So real quick, guys, as I'm shaking this up and trying this, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you like the content we do. Also, join the Facebook group. We have a Facebook group out there, DIY Mixers Crew, and we also have a Discord. And new that we started last week, we have a Zoom for all you guys out there that mix in the community. You guys can always jump in that Zoom room. It's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just go in there, shoot the shit, talk mixing, whatever you guys feel like doing it. We'll post those links. I don't know if you can post that in the chat, Folk Art. Now that I got that squared away with that link to the Zoom room, you guys can always join that. It's always posted on Facebook and also on the Discord. There's actually a channel dedicated to the Zoom room. So if there's any technical difficulties or anything like that out there, I will post those in the Discord to make sure you guys know if there's any problems and, the link has changed or whatnot. But the link has been pretty solid for the past 4 days. And we've been using it quite often. And there's a lot of extraordinary mixers that pop in and out of there. So for you guys out there in the community and, if you just want to sit there and shoot the shit, talk flavors, whatever, we put that service out there for you. And like I said, if you like the content, subscribe to the channel. Also, we do have a new show that is going to be featured on Wednesdays at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every week on Wednesdays. It's dedicated to new mixers. It's
7 p.m.
Yeah, it's B2B. It's back to the basics with DIY Mixers Crew, and basically what that show is it's going to be catered towards people that are just starting to get into DIY. We have a guy on there. His name's David. He's actually green behind the ears. He's never mixed in his life. And we're going to take him through the process of getting into DIY. He doesn't even know what propylene glycol and vegetable glycerin is, folks. So we're going to sit down with him every week, take him through the steps. We're going to give you some information on, where we feel that, where you can buy your equipment, like your scales, needles, flavors, like the stuff that we use. We feel that the places that we go to, those are like the mainstays. They're great. Their shipping's good. We can get into that stuff on Wednesday, but make sure you check that out every week, Wednesdays, 4:30 Eastern time on the DIY Mixers Crew channel. Like I said,
sorry, David. 7 p.m. 7 p.m.
Oh, is it 7? I don't know why I keep saying 4:30. I'm thinking it's today. It's 7 p.m. Sorry, guys. Thanks, Lewis, for that. I'm just so used to doing a show on Sundays, I keep forgetting it's 7. So it's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Wednesdays. This smells really good. I'm anxious to try it. I just re-wick this coil, so it smells like a peach coming through. Go ahead, Volk.
No, I was just going to mention on the Back to Basics show on Wednesday, we're going to be covering all the flavors and how to use it as a tool, as a mixing tool and inventory.
Well, this is surprising. I like it. The tea I like. It does. It's. I think it's better than. I think it was Flavor Art that I had. Green tea. Mm-hmm. It's actually quite nice. The tea, sits in the middle, and then those fruits really come into play. I'm not a peach fan, but the peach, and you're right with that lime. That lime really kind of like gets in there and takes control of some stuff and tones it down a little bit. So for you, my nephew will probably really enjoy this. He's going to stop over later on tonight, and he's actually been looking for a nice tea vape. So for you guys out there in the community that are looking for a nice green tea vape, this is fucking phenomenal. I like it.
Awesome.
Yeah, well, the apple and the peach play well together.
They really do.
And yeah, the lime is what brings it all to the table. But the green tea is still the prominent note.
Yes, that's how I was just going to raise. It's the body. It's like the center, and then the like you said, the peach and the lime and the apple come together. And yes, it's fucking extraordinary. I love it. I can actually vape on this all day, to be honest with you. So for this recipe, guys, like I said, after the chat, I'm going to post this up on all the flavors. Check this recipe out if you really dig the teas. Like he said, give it maybe about a 2 or 3 days steep, you said, Paul?
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm going to vape on this until the end of the show. But, Dummy, that's pretty much it for today. If you guys have any more questions for us before we decide to leave here today, feel free to, at DIY Mixers Crew, and ask us any questions before you leave. Any of the problems, like if you live in Australia, if you have any questions for Paul, I'm sure that he can answer them for you at LabWorks. But other than that, that's all I got. You guys got anything before we jet out of here for today?
Just go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
I was just going to mention, is there going to be like an after show in Zoom today? Or
yeah, if you guys want to anybody in the audience, if you guys want to hop into the Zoom room, we usually shoot the shit maybe for about a half hour, 45 minutes. Feel free, anybody out there that's in the chat or anybody that's watching us right now, if you feel that, you just want to sit there and meet us and talk to us, talk shop, do some flavor talking, anything like that, we'll be in a Zoom room maybe for about a half hour, 45 minutes. I don't know if Folk Art was able to post a link over up on the live chat.
I did.
Yeah, so we got that posted.
Yeah.
Other than that, that's all I got. Awesome fucking recipe, Paul.
Hey, I got one more question real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Hey, Paul, M wants to know if you have an ATF account. I know we spoke about it earlier.
I originally was on there somewhere. I'd have to go back and look, but everything I do online like Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. It's all LabWorks everywhere across the board. You'll find me.
So
I'm here, there, everywhere.
So just do a Google search for some, just do a Google or something like that.
Pretty much. But if not, I'll have to get back on ATF. And I look, I've got a bunch of recipes that I could post. A lot of the recipes that I actually have a dedicated computer right next to me that I do all my work on. Only because I'm working with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of concentrates here in the background. So that's probably one thing. And then I'm thinking of actually putting it up somewhere as a PDF. It's probably about 60 or 70 pages of flavor notes that I've been putting together over the years.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's one thing that we were discussing offline too about the community, about getting a site together for flavor notes for a lot of people out there. So look for that. That's going to be coming up soon, hopefully. We're going to be doing some of that work for you guys, so that way you get an idea on what you're getting into with the flavor. Real quick, though, another thing I want to mention before we get out of here, make sure you check out www.liquidbarn.com. Use code MIXERSCREW, get 15% off your total order. And that's one thing for you new mixers out there that are going to be tuning in on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, is they do have a kit that will give you flavors, nicotine, propylene glycol, vegetable glycerin. Get one set price. You can order that. Use the 15% off code. They'll ship that to you. Over $50, you get free shipping. Make sure you check out www.bowlcityflavors.com. Use discount code DMC6 and get 6% off your total order. Lightning fast shipping. I love them. They're one of my mainstays. That's who I go to the majority of the time. Check them out. You get 6% off, $75. Free shipping, I believe. Check them out. But that's all I got for you guys this evening. Make sure you check out the Stopgap Show also with Graham. Yes.
Dave, sorry. Just let me point one last thing.
Yes.
We still have a challenge going on for another week.
Yeah, you could talk about that.
For another week, so we can talk about all those recipes that are coming out on next show. Remember that this challenge, the theme is cinnamon. So go on, grab your flavors and mix and come up with a good recipe for us to talk about it.
Good cinnamon recipe, yes.
Yep. There's already been about 5 or 6 really good looking recipes that's been put out on our Facebook and in our Discord that people's come up with, and I know there's going to be at least 5 or 6 more. So. Good job, guys.
Awesome. All right, man. That's all I got.
Yeah, me too.
See you next week. Hey, Paul.
Paul, thank you for coming.
Thanks for stopping out. Make sure you check out Vape Train, man. Chef's Flavors. They're exclusive at Chef's Flavors over in the UK. $6 to the United States. Anywhere worldwide, $6 shipping. Check them out. But other than that, that's all I got, guys.
Yep.
Take care.
Right, guys.
All right, guys.
Thanks,
you.
Paul.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Enjoy, guys.
Chuki beef.